The distress signal pierced through the void like a desperate whisper, its peculiar frequency catching the attention of the UES Horizon's advanced sensors. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her muscular frame testament to a life lived under Earth's punishing gravity. 20 years of deep space service had taught her that the universe rarely offered coincidences. Signal analysis complete, Captain. Lieutenant Ravi Kumar reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. It's not matching any known patterns in our database, but it's definitely artificial. Origin point is the Proxima Centauri colony. Sarah's jaw tightened. Proxima Centauri was humanity's first extrasolar colony, established 50 years ago, home to over 2 million people. When was their last scheduled check-in? 3 days ago, Captain. All normal. Ravi's voice carried an edge of concern. The bridge fell silent as the signal's contents filtered through the ship's translation matrix. A single phrase emerged, repeated endlessly. We are hungry. We are many. We are coming. Sarah's hand instinctively moved to the neural implant at the base of her skull, a standard modification for all deep space personnel. The implant's subtle vibration confirmed what her instincts were screaming. Something was very wrong. All hands to battle stations, she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of authority earned through countless crises. Deploy sensor drones and establish a perimeter. Whatever's out there, I want to see it coming. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their bodies naturally compensating for the ship's artificial gravity as it ramped up to combat settings. Unlike most spacefaring species, humans could function under crushing gravitational forces that would incapacitate or kill other sentient races. It was one of many gifts from evolving on what the galactic community called a Deathworld. The first signs of trouble came when the sensor drones began failing, one by one. Not through damage or malfunction, but by simply disappearing, as if they were being absorbed into the void itself. Multiple contacts. Tactical Officer Maya Williams shouted, emerging from fold space. They're massive, Captain. Unlike anything I've seen before. The viewport's smart surfaces automatically polarized as strange, geometrically perfect shapes emerged from the darkness. They seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, their surfaces rippling like oil on water. The largest was easily 20 kilometers long, its form suggesting some horrific amalgamation of organic and mechanical components. Incoming transmission, Ravi reported, his voice steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. The bridge's holoscreen flickered to life, revealing something that defied easy description. It appeared as a constantly shifting mass of darkness, occasionally forming what might have been faces or limbs before dissolving back into chaos. We are the Void Collective. The entity spoke, its voice a discordant chorus of thousands speaking in perfect unison. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is inefficient. Sarah's expression hardened. She'd heard similar threats before, from various hostile species who thought humanity's relatively recent arrival on the galactic stage made them easy prey. None of those species had ever faced the full might of a civilization forged in the crucible of Earth. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Horizon. She responded, her voice clear and unwavering. You are in violation of recognized human space. Stand down and prepare to be boarded for inspection. The entity's form rippled, and Sarah could have sworn it was laughing. Your species is young, arrogant. You do not comprehend what you face. We have consumed civilizations that spanned galaxies. Your extinction is inevitable. Before Sarah could respond, the massive vessel began to feed. There was no other word for it. Streams of dark energy lashed out, literally devouring chunks of space itself, leaving behind absolute void. The laws of physics seemed to break down wherever these energy streams touched. All ships, emergency protocols. Sarah barked into the fleet-wide comm. Fall back to secondary positions and prepare for maximum gravity combat protocols. They want to see what humanity's made of. Let's show them why Earth is called a Deathworld. As the UES Horizon's engines roared to life, pushing the ship to accelerations that would liquidate most alien species, Sarah knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had faced extinction-level threats before, during their violent evolution on Earth. They had survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and their own near-destructive technological advancement. Now they faced something that consumed entire civilizations, but the Void Collective was about to learn a harsh lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous prey are the ones that evolved on a world that tried to kill them every single day of their existence. The battle for humanity's survival had begun. The Emergency Council chamber of Earth's Combined Defense Force buzzed with tension as Admiral Marcus Torres studied the holographic display before him. Red markers indicated colonies that had already fallen to the Void Collective. There were far too many. Proxima Centauri, New Eden, and now Kepler's Hope, he said, his augmented eyes scanning through casualty reports. 3 colonies lost in 2 weeks. 2 million lives just gone. The assembled military leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Humanity had faced threats before, but nothing like this. The Void Collective didn't just destroy, it consumed, leaving behind patches of space where the laws of physics simply ceased to exist. "Show them the Kepler's Hope footage," ordered Fleet Commander Elena Rodriguez, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display. The chamber darkened as footage from the colony's final moments played out. The massive void ships appeared first, their geometric forms defying natural law. Then came the tendrils of dark energy, breaking down matter at its fundamental level. But it was what happened next that had caught humanity's attention. "Freeze frame," Elena commanded. "Focus on section Delta 7. The image zoomed in on a group of colonial Marines who had made a last stand in the colony's high-gravity training facility. The void tendrils had struggled there, moving slower, seemingly weakened by the facility's artificial gravity field. "Our scientists have been analyzing this footage nonstop," Elena continued. "The Void Collective's energy absorption process appears to be hampered by intense gravitational forces. They evolved in deep space. They're not adapted to handle the kind of gravity we consider normal." Admiral Torres leaned forward. "You're suggesting we use our gravitational technology as a weapon?" "More than that," Elena replied, bringing up new schematics. "I'm suggesting we use our entire evolutionary heritage as a weapon. The Void Collective has never encountered a species like us. Deathworlders who evolved under crushing gravity and lethal radiation levels." The chamber erupted in discussion as military leaders debated the implications. Humanity's ships were already designed to withstand forces that would tear apart vessels built by other species. Their crews could endure accelerations that would kill most alien life forms. The UES Horizon managed to drive back one of their scout ships, Elena continued. "Captain Chen reports that high-G combat maneuvers confuse their targeting systems. They're not used to prey that can move the way we do." A harsh laugh came from General Zhang Wei, commander of the Mars Defense Force. "They thought we were easy prey because we're young. They never stopped to ask why no other species had claimed Earth before we evolved. Our homeworld's gravity alone would have crushed most spacefaring races." Admiral Torres stood, silencing the chamber. "What's the status of the Horizon?" "Captain Chen has fallen back to the Arcturus defense line," Elena reported. "She's gathering data on their attack patterns, but she needs reinforcements. The Void Collective is adapting, learning our tactics." Torres nodded grimly. "Then we need to adapt faster. Commander Rodriguez, I want every ship in the fleet retrofitted with enhanced gravity generators. General Zhang, begin evacuating non-essential personnel from our outer colonies to Earth. If the Void Collective wants to test themselves against Deathworlders, let's make sure they get the full experience." As the leaders dispersed to carry out their orders, Torres remained at the holographic display. He zoomed in on Earth, their beautiful, brutal homeworld. Its high gravity, intense radiation, and extreme weather had forced humanity to become stronger, faster, more resilient than any other known species. "Send word to Captain Chen," he ordered. Tell her help is coming, and to hold the line at all costs. It's time to show the galaxy why Earth species are feared across the stars. In the depths of space, aboard the UES Horizon, Captain Sarah Chen received the message with grim satisfaction. Her ship had been running combat drills nonstop, pushing both crew and vessel to their absolute limits. The void ships were still out there, probing their defenses, learning. But they weren't the only ones learning. Sarah watched as her crew adapted to even higher gravity levels during combat maneuvers, their bodies responding to the challenge just as their ancestors had responded to Earth's harsh environment. Evolution had made humans into survivors, into warriors. They think they've seen what humanity can do, she muttered, watching her tactical display track void ship movements. They haven't seen anything yet. The battle for survival had entered a new phase. Humanity wasn't just fighting for territory anymore. They were fighting to prove that sometimes the most dangerous species are the ones that evolved in hell itself. The Void Collective was about to learn why Earth was classified as a Deathworld, and why its children were the most feared warriors in known space. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood in the zero-gravity laboratory of the UES Horizon, watching a captured tendril of void energy writhe within a containment field. The dark mass seemed to absorb all light, except where it touched the field's artificially generated gravity waves. Fascinating, she muttered, adjusting the gravity field's intensity. It's not just weakened by gravity, it's actually being disrupted at a quantum level. Captain Sarah Chen floated nearby, her neural implants allowing her to maintain perfect orientation even in zero-G. Can we weaponize it? Yuki gestured, and holographic data streams filled the air around them. The Void Collective exists in a state of quantum uncertainty. They're essentially living wave functions, which is why they can absorb matter and energy so efficiently. But strong gravitational fields force them to collapse into a single state. Like forcing a ghost to become solid, Sarah simplified, earning a nod from the scientist. Exactly. And once they're forced into a solid state, Yuki increased the gravity field's power. The void tendril convulsed, its ethereal form condensing into crystalline matter that shattered under its own weight. Sarah's eyes narrowed. They become vulnerable to conventional weapons. More than that, Yuki continued, bringing up new data. We've analyzed their ship designs. They're essentially massive quantum computers, maintaining their crew in a state of superposition. But they never evolved to handle significant gravitational forces. Their entire civilization developed in deep space. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. That's why they've been avoiding Earth. They can't handle our gravity well. A single human cruiser generates more gravitational stress during combat maneuvers than their entire species has experienced in millions of years of evolution, Yuki confirmed. We're not just fighting them. We're forcing them to exist in a way their biology never prepared them for. The ship's intercom crackled. Captain to the bridge. Multiple void signatures detected. Sarah was moving before the message finished, her muscles automatically compensating for the shift from zero-G to artificial gravity as she entered the corridor. Send this data to Admiral Torres. I want every ship in the fleet to know what we're dealing with. On the bridge, tactical displays showed 3 void ships emerging from fold space. They were larger than previous encounters, their geometric forms more complex. They're learning, Lieutenant Kumar reported. Energy signatures suggest improved shielding against gravitational forces. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. But they can't change their basic nature, not in time to save themselves. All hands, prepare for combat. Activate enhanced gravity drives. The UES Horizon's engines roared to life as Sarah opened a channel to the approaching void ships. This is Captain Chen. You've killed millions of our people, consumed our colonies, and threatened our existence. But you made one crucial mistake. The void ships responded with their usual chorus of voices. Your species is young. You cannot comprehend our power. We have consumed civilizations that spanned galaxies. Perhaps, Sarah agreed. But those civilizations didn't evolve on a Deathworld. They didn't spend millions of years adapting to forces that would tear your kind apart. We did. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. Battle stations. Show them why humanity's greatest strength is the hell that forged us. The horizon accelerated at forces that would have killed most alien species. Its enhanced gravity drives creating a localized field that forced the quantum uncertainty of the void ships into solid states. The void vessels try to adapt, their surfaces rippling as they fought against the fundamental laws of physics being imposed upon them. But they couldn't escape their nature. They were beings of quantum probability, used to existing in multiple states at once. Humanity's gravity weapons forced them to become singular, solid, vulnerable. As the battle raged, Sarah received word that the modifications to the rest of the fleet were complete. Humanity's entire armada was being upgraded with the new gravity weapons. The Void Collective had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the full might of a species that had evolved in conditions they couldn't even comprehend. Multiple void signatures collapsing, Tactical reported. Their quantum structure is destabilizing. Sarah watched as the massive void ships began to break apart, their once fluid forms crystallizing and shattering under the intense gravitational forces. It wasn't just a victory. It was proof that humanity's harsh evolution had prepared them for threats they couldn't have imagined. "Send word to the fleet," she ordered. "Operation Gravity Well is a success. It's time to take the fight to them." As the UES Horizon moved to pursue the retreating void ships, Sarah reflected on the irony. The very forces that had made Earth such a harsh cradle for life had become humanity's greatest weapon against an enemy that had never known such constraints. Sometimes, she thought, the greatest strength comes from surviving what should have killed you. Admiral Torres stood aboard the bridge of the UES Titan, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. Around him, hundreds of human vessels moved into formation, their enhanced gravity drives humming with power. The combined gravitational field of the assembled fleet was so intense that space itself seemed to bend. "Fleet status report," he commanded, his augmented eyes scanning multiple tactical displays simultaneously. Fleet Commander Rodriguez's hologram appeared beside him. "All ships report ready, Admiral. The gravity drive modifications have been completed across the fleet. Medical confirms all crews have adapted to the increased G-forces." Torres nodded. The last 2 weeks had seen humanity's military transform itself. Ships had been retrofitted with experimental gravity weapons, crews had undergone intensive high-Q training, and scientists had worked around the clock to understand their quantum enemy. "The Void Collective has fallen back to the Orion Arm," Rodriguez continued. "They're consolidating their forces around the remnants of our outer colonies. Intelligence suggests they're adapting." "Show me," Torres ordered. The tactical display shifted, showing new void ship configurations. Their once perfect geometric forms had become more chaotic, as if they were trying to evolve past their quantum nature. "They're attempting to stabilize their quantum structure," explained Dr. Tanaka, whose hologram joined the others. "But it's coming at a cost. Their ability to absorb matter and energy has decreased by roughly 60% in areas of normal gravity." Torres allowed himself a grim smile. "They're learning what every species that ever tried to colonize Earth discovered. You can't fight evolution. Not quickly enough to matter." The assembled holographic advisors nodded. Earth's gravity had prevented countless alien species from claiming the planet before humanity evolved. Now that same evolutionary pressure was proving to be the Void Collective's undoing. "Begin Operation Earthborn," Torres commanded. "All ships, advance in gravity wave formation. Let's show them what real pressure feels like." The human fleet moved forward as one, their formation designed to create overlapping fields of intense gravity. Ships that would have been considered primitive by most galactic standards were now wielding forces that could bend space itself. The void ships responded immediately, their massive forms emerging from fold space. But something was different. Their movements were more rigid, less fluid than before. "They're trying to maintain solid form," Dr. Tanaka observed. sacrificing their quantum nature for stability. That's their mistake, Torres replied. They're fighting their own nature, while we're embracing ours. All ships, commence attack pattern Delta 7. Show them why Deathworlders never die easily. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. Human ships moved with impossible acceleration, their crews performing maneuvers that would have killed any other species. The void ships tried to adapt, tried to maintain their new solid forms, but they couldn't match the raw power of a species that had evolved under crushing gravity. Multiple void signatures destabilizing, Tactical reported. Their quantum structure is collapsing across all sectors. Torres watched as the massive void ships began to break apart, their once fluid forms crystallizing and shattering under the combined gravitational assault. But something caught his attention, a pattern in their destruction that seemed almost deliberate. Hold position, he ordered suddenly. All ships maintain gravity fields but cease advance. The fleet froze in space as Torres studied the tactical display. The void ships weren't just breaking apart, they were reforming into something new. Admiral, Dr. Tanaka's voice was urgent. I'm detecting quantum fluctuations I've never seen before. They're trying to communicate. The main view screen flickered to life, showing not the usual chorus of void entities, but a single coherent form. Its voice, when it came, was different, more focused, more individual. We have existed for millions of years, it said, its form rippling with each word. We have consumed countless civilizations, but never have we been forced to change, to adapt, to become singular. Torres stepped forward. That was your choice. You attacked us, threatened our existence. Yes, the void entity agreed, because we saw your potential, your strength. We needed you to force us to evolve, to become more than what we were. The revelation hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. The Void Collective hadn't just been attacking them. They had been testing them, using humanity's unique evolutionary advantages to force their own species to change. But Torres knew better than to let down his guard. And now, the entity replied, we understand what it means to be singular, to be solid, to be individual. We request negotiations. Torres looked at his advisor's holograms, saw the same mix of suspicion and curiosity on their faces. Humanity had proven itself stronger than anyone had imagined, forcing a millions-year-old species to fundamentally change its nature. Stand by, he told the void entity. Then to his fleet, maintain battle positions. We're not done being careful just because they're done being hostile. As the human fleet held its position, Torres couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Earth's gravity, long considered a curse that had forced humanity to evolve into something stronger, had just reshaped an ancient species that had never known such constraints. The war might be ending, but humanity's influence on the galaxy was just beginning. 1 year after the Void Collective's surrender, Captain Sarah Chen stood in Earth's newly constructed Quantum Research Center, watching as human and void entity scientists worked together. The sight still struck her as surreal, the very beings that had once threatened to consume humanity now sharing knowledge and technology. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Dr. Yuki Tanaka approached, her lab coat bearing both human and void entity insignias. They taught us more about quantum mechanics in 1 year than we learned in the previous century. Sarah nodded, watching as a void entity demonstrated quantum manipulation techniques to a group of human researchers. The entity maintained a solid form, something that would have been impossible before their encounter with humanity. And what have we taught them? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. Strength, came a familiar chorus of voices. The void entity they knew as Ambassador emerged from a quantum fold, its form now permanently crystallized into a geometric shape that could withstand Earth's gravity. You taught us the value of limitation, of constraint, of individuality. Sarah had grown used to the Ambassador's presence, though it still amazed her how much the void entities had changed. They no longer existed as a pure collective. having learned to maintain individual forms while sharing a quantum connection. Admiral Torres sends his regards, Sarah said. He's overseeing the reconstruction of Proxima Centauri colony. Yes, the ambassador's form rippled with what Sarah had learned was amusement. We are helping to rebuild what we once sought to consume. The irony is not lost on us. Dr. Tanaka pulled up a holographic display showing the latest research data. The quantum gravity integration is proceeding faster than expected. Soon, we'll be able to create ships that can harness both void quantum technology and human gravitational engineering. A merger of strengths, the ambassador observed, just as we have merged our species' knowledge. Sarah moved to the observation window, looking out at the Earth below. From orbit, their homeworld looked peaceful, beautiful even. It was hard to imagine it was the same deadly planet that had forged humanity into something strong enough to challenge the Void Collective. There's something I've been meaning to ask, Sarah said, turning back to the ambassador. Why Earth? Of all the worlds you could have tested, why choose us? The ambassador's form shifted, displaying complex geometric patterns that Sarah had learned indicated deep thought. We had watched your species for centuries, observed your evolution on what most would consider a death trap. We saw how Earth's gravity made you strong, how its radiation made you resilient, how its harsh conditions forced you to adapt and overcome. You wanted that strength for yourselves, Dr. Tanaka realized. Yes, the ambassador confirmed. Our species had grown stagnant, existing in quantum uncertainty for millions of years. We needed change, evolution. We needed a force strong enough to make us solid, to make us real. Sarah thought about the battles they had fought, the lives lost on both sides. There could have been an easier way. Perhaps, the ambassador agreed. But would you have achieved the same level of advancement without the pressure of extinction? Would we have learned to exist as individuals without being forced to adapt to your gravity weapons? The question hung in the air, unanswerable. Sarah knew that humanity had emerged stronger from the conflict, their technology and understanding advancing decades in just a few years. The void entities had evolved too, learning to exist in ways they never had before. The galaxy is changing, the ambassador continued. Other species are watching, learning. They see how Earth's children forced the mighty Void Collective to evolve. They see how Deathworlders can reshape the very nature of ancient beings. Dr. Tanaka smiled. They're afraid of us now. No, the ambassador corrected. They respect you, as we have learned to respect you. The strength that comes from surviving adversity, it is something many species have forgotten. You reminded the galaxy of its importance. Sarah watched as another void entity demonstrated quantum tunneling to the human scientists, its form perfectly stable in Earth's gravity. Their greatest enemies had become their most valuable teachers, and humanity had proven itself worthy of standing among the galaxy's oldest civilizations. So what comes next? She asked. The ambassador's form shifted into a complex pattern that Sarah recognized as anticipation. Next, we explore together. Your strength combined with our knowledge. There are mysteries in this universe that neither of us could solve alone. As if to emphasize the point, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Dr. Tanaka rushed to a console, her eyes widening at the readings. We're detecting quantum disturbances from beyond the galaxy's edge, she reported. Something's out there, something older than even the Void Collective. Sarah and the ambassador shared a look. Once, such a discovery would have terrified humanity. Now, strengthened by their evolution and armed with both gravity weapons and quantum technology, they were ready to face whatever mysteries the universe held. Well then, Sarah said, straightening her uniform. Shall we go see what's knocking? The ambassador's form crystallized into its battle configuration, a sight that once inspired terror, but now represented partnership. Together, it agreed. As equals. As human ships and void entities prepared to investigate the new phenomenon, Sarah couldn't help but feel proud. Earth had been called a death world, a planet so harsh it should have prevented life from evolving. Instead, it had created a species strong enough to reshape the galaxy's oldest civilizations and brave enough to face whatever came next. The legacy of the strong would continue, not through conquest or consumption, but through partnership and mutual evolution. And the galaxy would never be the same.